All right, let's get back into some expressions, okay? So we're solving expressions. So when you're writing expressions, that's the first step. Now, today we are going to work on plugging numbers in and solving them, okay? So we're going to be given a value, we plug it in for our variable, and then we can find out what the total is, okay? So let's do a couple examples. So our first example is 3 times x plus 4. And then we need to solve when x equals 5. X equals 5 right there. So we're going to rewrite our problem plugging in 5 for x, okay? And remember, x is our variable. So 3 times 5 plus 4. Now you can write 3 times 5 a few different ways. I just put the 5 in parentheses, but you could also write it like this. I'm going to put or. So you could do 3 times 5 plus 4 or 3 times 5 plus 4. Now, I generally don't use the x when I'm doing expressions and solving equations because then it can get confusing if that's a variable or if it's the operation of multiplying, okay? So now we have 3 times 5 plus 4. So I'm going to use my order of operations. So don't forget about your order of operations, PEMDAS, right? Parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. Okay, and we're going left to right. Okay, I'm gonna just start over and then so I will clap when I'm gonna start over and then you can just erase all that first part, okay? Welcome back to Math with Miss Rebecca, okay? So we are working on expressions, right? So today we're going to do solving expressions. Writing expressions is your first step, okay? Then today we're going to plug in numbers and solve, okay? So let's look here. So we have some examples. 3x plus 4, and we're going to plug in 5 for x. So when x equals 5. So don't forget our order of operations, and we're doing them left to right, okay? So let's plug it in. So 3 times 5 plus 4. Now, I'm going to write or because we can write this a few different ways. So I like to use parentheses or I like to use the dot. So 3 times 5 plus 4. You can still write it with the multiplication, the typical one that you learn in elementary school. 3 times 5 plus 4. But when you're working with expressions and equations, you might not be sure if that means to multiply or if it's a variable. So I typically will use the parentheses or the dot for multiplying, okay? So now we do our order of operations. So left to right, parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. Okay. Well, here I'm just multiplying and then adding. Okay. So 3 times 5 is 15. So now let's rewrite it. So 15 plus 4. And then what's 15 plus 4? Well, that's 19. And we solved that easy. Let's do one more together. Our next one, 2 times a minus 3 when a equals 6. Okay. Now I'm going to rewrite my order of operations just so I keep it in my mind, okay? Now, 2 times a minus 3, and we're going to rewrite it with a equals 6, okay? Where a equals 6. So 2 times 6 minus 3. So now this one, we're just multiplying and then subtracting. So 2 times 6 is 12. And then 12 minus 3, well, 12 minus 3 is 9. And we are done. And now I want you to try this one on your own and then check your answer with mine. Okay. So 4x plus 2 when x equals 3. And I'm going to write my order of operations just to have that there just in case. And remember, we still go left to right. Okay. So first step, rewrite your problem. 4 times 3 plus 2. Now you start working. 4 times 3 is our first step. So 4 times 3 is 12, and then we're going to still add 2. So now 12, add 2, we get 14. Evaluating expressions is one of the biggest steps in algebra and going on. But if you can master this in 6th grade, then you're doing it ahead of the game. So, thanks for joining. See you later.